Okay, so first of all, I've gotten warnings from people about doing videos based on religion and politics, and, I was told by somebody not to do my first video on religion and politics, and I didn't. I did the movie review, so I'm doing my second video on religion and politics. Also, I got told people would, be harsh in the comments if I talked about politics and religion, and I really don't give a damn about that. I don't care if people say I'm an asshole. I don't care about, if people say I'm a jerk or an idiot or any of that. I actually, what I want in the comments is for people to have intelligent discussion, and that's why I want to make these videos, because I'm not here to propagate any religion or form of government. I do have my own beliefs as far as that goes, but I'm not here to get into that. I'm here to talk about the context of those things, of politics and religion, within a song. And that's what this video is going to be about. So this isn't about my own views. I'm going to try to keep those out as much as I can. They might bleed in a little bit because we have our biases, and it's very hard to get rid of them. But with that out of the way, I did want to talk about a certain song that I heard on the radio a couple days ago. I've been listening to the song for years. I've probably been listening to the song for longer than I can remember, seeing as it came out in like the 70s. The song in question is Imagine by John Lennon. And I want to get out of the way the fact that, I respect John Lennon as a musical artist. I respect him as obviously a Beatle. What happened to him in 1980 when he was 40 years old, he got shot in the back and he died, is terrible, and I don't wish that upon anybody, and I have nothing but respect for him musically. While I'm not a huge Beatles fan and their music to me isn't the greatest, I do recognize and understand and appreciate and respect what they did for music and what John Lennon did for music. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. But about the song, I was listening to the radio the other day, and it came on the radio. With every listening that I've had with the song, I've kind of thought something, and I wasn't sure if I was correct. And it doesn't matter if I'm correct, because I maybe want to be told that I'm wrong. I realized the song is kind of about atheism and anarchy, and then socialism replacing anarchy. And again, I could be wrong. If I am wrong, I want people to tell me. I want to do a quick rundown of the lyrics. Just bear with me a moment because it is on my computer, so I'm going to read it off of that. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. So I'm going to take that first verse and I'm going to break it down. So this is basically going to be an analysis of the song. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. So right there, we're saying, imagine basically that there's no heaven or hell. There's no afterlife. There's no religion. And he sees this as a good thing. Imagine all the people living for today is the next lyric. And then the next lyric, the next verse, is imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. So he reiterates and reinforces and basically blatantly states no religion. And he says that this is a good thing. Imagine all the people living in peace. So I want to take that first half of the song. So imagine there's no religion. So imagine we're all atheists is basically what he's saying. Saying imagine that we're all atheists, it's not that simple. Maybe if the world started without creating religion, then it would be that simple, but we have religion. Religion is very much a part of our culture and who we are, and, not all of us. Some of us are atheists, which is fine, but for many people, religion is a very real part of their life. And so to say, imagine there is no religion is difficult. The same thing about imagine there's no countries. We have countries in the world because that's the way the world formed. We sort of marked our territory, and this is our territory, and yes, we trade within that territory, but part of the world trade is based on the fact that, yes, those are different territories. Something is made here, and they make their money by trading to other countries. So if it's all just one country, then you're not trading to other countries. You're kind of just selling your product as is, and you lose the intrinsic value of trade. So that aspect of that, of saying imagine that these things don't exist, is sort of naive. It oversimplifies the ideas of religion and countries. And it's, as I said, it's sort of an atheist viewpoint, which is fine. It's also sort of an anarchist viewpoint in the respect of no countries. So, you have atheism and anarchy. And anarchy, many people can agree, is bad, because with anarchy we go back to, sort of natural law, and whoever has the biggest stake is the best person. And again, it sort of shows a naivety. And then if you continue, he says, "You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one." So again, he sort of solidifies that idea of being in peace, of all these things creating peace. And then he sort of goes on with that, and he says, "Imagine no possessions, I wonder if you can, no need for greed or hunger, the brotherhood of man." So he says that possessions are bad, and that if without them there'd be no greed or hunger. But if you had no country, there'd be greed and hunger, because we go back to natural law, we go back to natural selection, we go back to whoever can get the most food survives. So he's saying not just anarchy. He says, yes, anarchy first, but then he says no possessions. So he's saying socialism. And it's no secret that John Lennon has socialist views. It was never stated outright, but the readings of Marx are very much in things that he has said. And it's kind of funny that Lennon read Marx, but it's sort of, it's very communist, and it's very socialist. And in case there's any sort of doubt there, John Lennon was actually quoted as saying that which says, "Imagine that there's no religion, no more country, no more politics," is virtually the Communist Manifesto, even though I'm not particularly a communist and I don't belong to any movement. So he even says that the song has communist views. He says that he's not particularly a communist, but he's obviously inspired by communist viewpoints. And when he says that he's not a communist, he means that he's not a traditional communist in the ways of Russia and China. He says there's no real communist state in the world. You must realize that the socialism I speak about is not the way some draft Russian might do or some Chinese might do it. That might suit them. Us, we should have a nice British socialism. So right there, he basically says, I'm a socialist, but I'm not the kind of socialist you think I am. So that whole idea of socialism is very much in there. But again, the ideas of socialism and atheism and anarchy and all those, you can't have those just like that. You can't just say, let's delete these things and the world will be at peace. Because if all of the world leaders got together and they said, this is a good idea, let's all be atheists and let's all be communists, that wouldn't fly. People wouldn't go for that. They would react very harshly to that. It would be bad. We would have revolution. We would have, these terrible things happen in the world if the government sort of decided to do that. If the world's governments decided to do that. So, again, it sort of shows a naivety. And I'm not saying that John Lennon's ideas for world peace aren't bad. I'm sure he had good intentions. But the way that he says, just imagine these things, is, again, very naive. An author named John Blaney stated that Lennon is sort of offering these things, but he tells us to imagine them. He doesn't tell us that they're going to exist. And he says that because we're asked merely to imagine, that Lennon can play a what-if game, and he can escape the harshest criticism. But I am criticizing Lennon. I think that the criticism is deserved. I think that if you look at these things, then the only thing you can do is imagine them, because if you actually try to put into place what John Lennon is supposing, then it would be chaotic. And so you need to sort of take these ideas with a grain of salt. You can't take them at face value. You can't say, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, let's do that, because I don't think it would work. So I kind of wanted to just talk about that. So I know this video might not be the most organized in the world. I did try to use some sources, and I will put links to the sources in the description. But I wanted to start an intelligent discussion about this. And again, I don't really want to be flamed in the comments. I don't think I'm going to pay a lot of attention to criticism like that. I want constructive criticism. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, but don't just say, hey, you're wrong, or hey, you're an asshole. Say, you know, you're wrong, and here's why. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why you think the things that I'm saying need to be looked at through a different lens. And that's all this video is. This is just looking at a song through a certain lens. And while some of these views are views that I have, some of them are just ideas. They're just musings. They're not necessarily the concrete ideas of my own. They're not necessarily the concrete ideas that I go through every day with. They're just, if you look at it from this point of view, it can be seen this way. So I want to make that clear, that the viewpoints that I'm mentioning in this video aren't necessarily my complete viewpoints. Again, there are biases that I cannot separate myself from, so my viewpoints might bleed into that. But this isn't about my viewpoints. This is simply about an analysis of a song read a certain way. So, knowing that, comment on that. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe and like and comment. And I really hope that I can have more discussions like this and that people will respond to them in intellectual and interesting ways. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.